28 years, and it came to an end. We're gonna miss you, dude. The Sitter stars Jonah Hill as a typical slacker who doesn't really do anything in his life, especially from the fact that he got suspended by his college, until he ends up taking up the job of babysitting these 3 kids, but it leads to much more than just a typical night of watching over them. You see, last year when Due Date released, it drawed inevitable comparisons between Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, especially for the way its plot was structured, and even for the characters as well. And I can literally say that The Sitter is this year's Due Date, because it heavily derives off of the plot for Adventures in Babysitting, but of course living up to today's standards of trying to push the limits with what kids do in certain movies, it does it to a further extent than that movie did back in 1987. And if you had to do a Rock'em Sock'em Robot battle in between both of these movies, I'd say that Due Date would definitely win it, because The Sitter was exactly what I expected. A mildly funny at best Jonah Hill entry, but damn, we are definitely gonna miss him for the fat days. We've seen Jonah Hill do range in his career before, especially in Cyrus and Moneyball, which I consider to be 2 of his top 5 best performances, maybe even top 3. Here it's pretty much the formula performance we get as him playing a fat slacker who doesn't really care about life in particular until he meets up some people who pretty much change his viewpoints upon it. And in this movie, he does a decent job. He has some good lines here and there, and he does have a heart at times, even though the heart stuff is pretty cliche, of course. But at the same time, it's a good entry for him because even though he is playing a stock character, I did enjoy him for the most part because I have been a devoted fan of his ever since seeing Superbad. Sam Rockwell shows up in this movie as a crazy drug dealer, and I'll admit, I love the guy in just about any movie he stars in, and even though he's playing a very stock character, and he's only in really 3 scenes of the movie, I did enjoy him because he knows that his role is over the top, and you can definitely tell that he embraces it in every scene that he's in. However, the biggest fault in the acting I felt were the child actors, and especially the characters they played, because 2 of them got on my nerves so much in this film. However, the one Slater, which is played by Where the Wild Things Are, Max Records, I actually think he did a pretty good job. However, the other 2 kids, whose names I haven't even heard of before, their characters just did things that got so much on my nerves that I just simply stopped caring for them almost halfway through the film. This is yet another comedy that's been directed by David Gordon Green, who's mostly famous for directing Pineapple Express, but he had a great string of independent movies he made back in the 1990s and I think early 2000s. I just think the guy is selling his name out now because Your Highness was a dismal disaster the more I thought about it, and this movie, he just doesn't really do anything except just let the actors have at it with their roles. He just doesn't add anything onto the directing style or making anything new out of this genre pretty much. So I gotta say, like, he's really gotta find a project as his next one that's gonna bring him out of his funk, because he's really been just selling his name off of Pineapple Express, and it just hasn't really lived up to post-success, really. In addition, the movie's tone jumps so much. It jumps from one situation to another constantly, and whenever it jumps to one scene to the other, it just takes you out of the experience more, because a lot of the humor that's supposed to be set up, it really isn't even that funny. It just feels very light. I feel like they could have gone for more of an edge to it, and they just simply didn't embrace that aspect as the movie went on. Because of the performances by Jonah Hill and Sam Rockwell, which you can tell that they definitely put all their effort into their roles and definitely embrace the aspects of their characters, that's why I'm going to give The Sitter 2 stars. I laughed a few times, especially to their performances and their crazy characters at times. However, the rest of the movie, it just doesn't add up. I feel like it was very light on its comedy side. They could have gone for a lot more edgier spin to it. But in the hands of a more capable director than David Gordon Green, who, as I said, I think is really selling his name out lately, I think this could have definitely been better, but at the same time, it's worth a Sunday rental at best. So if you enjoyed my review of The Sitter, make sure to stay tuned to more reviews that I'll be bringing to you constantly throughout my 4-week break. So in the meantime, I'm Tyler from Cali Reviews, and I'll see you guys later.